it matters that we all show up the best we can because we're creating this thing called society. We're creating humanity. We're creating our economy. We're creating all of it.
Mm.
Each one of us together. That's what we're doing. So it's important. This work's important.
Welcome back to Raising the Consciousness of Humanity. I am excited for today's guest. She is a friend. She's actually, I would say, you call her a personal mentor of mine. She's the Reverend and Senior Minister of the Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast, which is actually in Sarasota, Florida. Her name is Reverend Theresa Fieberts. And yeah, and I really can't introduce you, Theresa, without maybe putting a plug in for your husband, Bobby, who is so involved with the music at the center. But I'm just excited to have you on board today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here too. I'm trying to tap my smile down. I can feel it's a big one right now. I'm happy too, Ron. It's good to be here.
Yeah, and I just want to tell the audience that's listening, you know, if you feel stuck in life or things just aren't going the way you planned it, or you're looking for a deeper connection but by being part of a spiritual community, well, listen to this podcast, like, subscribe, share it with a friend, because Center for Spiritual Living Cultural Coast, number one, is not only in person, but it's also a virtual community too. And we'll be sharing a lot of the links later on. And later on in this podcast, you want to stick around to the end because we're going to be talking about a class that's coming up that Reverend Theresa is going to be guiding us through and teaching us through, which is going to be August 6th. More about that later in the podcast, but it's basically called Change Your Thinking, Change Your Life. And yeah, we'll dive deeper into that. But Reverend Theresa, I want to start off first with how how are you raising the consciousness of humanity?
Hmm. Oh, what a fun question. Um, Today I'm doing it by playing in the field of possibilities.
Mm,
Um, and I think every day I'm raising possibilities, the vibe, consciousness for humanity when I'm just doing it for myself. We all are.
mm.
When we're upping our own consciousness, when we're even conscious, we're helping everyone. So I would say that first and foremost, that's it. But through the teaching, through the community, through touching people's lives, it's been such a blessing to do what I do. We've been 7 years now, a
Mm.
little over 7 years in community with folks, and I see people change. I see them expand. I see their lives change. And I know that we all are affecting each other. When you're in
Mm.
community consciously, you can't help but affect consciousness of all humanity. I mean, that's just how it happens. We're all affecting each other all the time.
Yeah, perfect answer. We are all affecting each other all the time. And why not do it in a positive and uplifting way?
Why not be conscious about it, intentional about it?
Yes.
Right, right, right. Because
Yeah,
we don't live in a vacuum.
that's true. That's true. Yeah. And so to begin with, to any of the listeners that are out there that have never stumbled across Centers for Spiritual Living, and a lot of times we're throwing around the acronym CSL,
Right.
but Center for Spiritual Living and the philosophy behind Science of Mind, which is a book, which is a teaching. I like to even say science of mind and heart, right? Because there's the mind heart connection.
Yes.
If you could expand upon that to a listener that may not be so familiar with Center for Spiritual Living and Science of Mind, how, what would you say to that?
There's many, many, many principles that we study and that we align with. in this teaching. But I think that for me, the number one idea, and it's today because this could change. You could ask 20 people that have been in the teaching for a long time how they would describe it, and depending on the day and who you spoke to, it's going to sound different. Because there's so many different facets that we get. But for me, number one, it is the idea that my what I do matters. My thinking matters.
Mm.
How I show up matters. The intention I have for the day matters. Um, that I am constantly and forever shaping my own life and thereby the lives of people around me and humanity, which is how you started out, your first question. So, I think that's number one is that
Mm.
we don't live in a vacuum, that everything we do does matter. And we can look at that spiritually, and we can also look at it from just a logical standpoint. If I wake up in the morning and I have a bad attitude, um, get up on the wrong side of the bed, so to
Mm.
speak, I'm affecting everybody that I interact with all day long. And that's just like a simple way to see it. But the truth of the matter is what thoughts we are entertaining, the vibe that we're, do we think it's a friendly universe, or is there some facet that's out to get us,
Sure.
or that kind of thing. Um, and and that can make a difference with the choices we make, with how we show up, how we present ourselves, with the decisions we make as far as what we want to do with our lives, what kind of career we want. I mean, it's endless. It's endless,
Mm.
this idea that what we think, what we believe in, how we then act those beliefs out, how our thinking is creating our life. And for me, that's probably number one, but there's lots of I, also that we are unique individuals. So while it matters what I do, when I show up uniquely myself,
Mm.
I'm more vibrant. When
Hmm.
I'm not worried about what other people think, when I'm not worried about how, I mean, as long as I'm not being rude, right? But when I'm showing up in my authentic truth, my authentic self, I'm more powerful.
Mm.
I'm more energetic. I'm more vibrant. I'm thinking clearly. All of those kinds of things if I'm not worried about something else. Well, that is another part of our teaching that we're each unique individual incarnations of this one energy that's created all life.
Yeah.
And so to give ourselves that honor and respect, it
Yeah.
influences our choices and everything. So all these, interact with each other. But those are two basic ones for me is that
Yeah.
how I choose to live my life and how I show up really makes a difference.
Yeah. Thank you, Teresa, because I feel that those are good words and explained very well. Because with Center for Spiritual Living, so many people may have misconception. Maybe they've never heard it before. They may not realize that there may be a center, near them. And I know there's a map on the main website that they can find one if there is, and I could put that link down below as well. But the I look at it as self empowerment
Yes, it is. Yes, it's
because
empowering.
yeah, being your unique self, your authentic self. What other teaching tells you that? And then at the same time, the basics of we create our, or whether we say we co-create or create, we create our reality. Then we can take ownership for our beingness, our thinking, and our beliefs, and everything else, as
Yes,
well as I think even what you went even further, we can bring that out into the world, right? Because we know that
yes.
our vibration makes a difference. When
Two
you
of
yeah, go ahead.
two of my favorite words now that certainly when I was a child they would not have been favorite words, and probably even into my 20s. I found this teaching when I was 31. two of my favorite words now to embody are discipline and responsibility.
Mm,
They're good words. They're self-love words. They're words, again, that empower me, that give me strength. That when I'm disciplined in my thinking
hmm
and I'm responsible for the choices that I'm making, then I'm empowered. Then I can change them if it's not working out the way I thought it would, or whatever. It's given me such clarity and strength in my life to really create, yeah, the experiences that I'm having rather than feeling a victim, which is how I came into this teaching.
Yeah. Well, how you came. Okay, so expand upon that. You said around age 31 was when you found. So
Yes.
where were you before? What was the thing that brought you into it? And now you, of course, now you're stepped into being a reverend, and you're leading a community. So what called you along the way, if you can take us back to that first moment?
Misery, drugs, alcohol, infidelity, a lot of misery, lot of misery. Uh, Experiencing lack of money,
Mm.
resources. And at the time when I was 31, I had been married 10 years. I got married when I was 21, and I had two children. Um, and uh, it was a pretty miserable time.
Mm.
And a friend of mine said, um, come to this place. I think you'll like it. And I actually went on my 10th anniversary.
Oh wow.
Um, yeah, our 10th anniversary. I said this morning, Kathy was a friend of ours, mutual friend. I said, I'm going to go to church with Kathy. And I cried almost through the whole thing because I was so touched by this. There were hundreds of people in this room. Well, thousands. There were thousands in the room. We were in a big high school auditorium here in Sarasota. And it was the Center for Positive Living. And I was hearing and sensing people who were engaged in life,
Mm.
engaged the way we were talking, that they were making their lives, they were creating their lives. And here I was feeling like life had been happening to me. I was
hmm
a victim of now my first husband, who we now are very, very good friends. But at the time, I was seeing that it was all his fault, and or my parents' fault, or my plight in life, the government's fault, whoever. I
hmm
was. I was, yeah, we owed the IRS money, so it was the IRS's fault. It was everybody's fault. Coming to a place of seeing my own
Mm.
ability to change, to make changes, and see that I was responsible for some, and not in a blame way, in an empowerment way, in a way
Sure.
that said, I can make a new choice.
Yeah.
I can make a new choice. I don't have to live in an alcoholic drug dependency situation. I can make a new choice. And it And at every moment of every day, we can make a new choice. Every moment of every day, if things are not working out for us, we can make a new choice. And that was such an exciting idea. So I
Mm.
raised my children in this teaching, and they are very, very capable adults with their own children. And yeah, it has been a beautiful, beautiful journey of coming to, and now I feel like I'm completely a different person in that
Mm.
regard. I'm 65 now, so that's what is that? 34 years in this
Mm.
teaching. And to come from a place of feeling like I was a victim, that life was happening to me, to life happens by means of me.
Yeah.
That there's this energy, this creative intelligence that we're all brought here by and immersed in and surrounded by, made of, and it's moving through us. And when we can be in that state of allowance and co-creation, you said earlier, It's a beautiful, empowering, exciting. It doesn't mean we don't ever have any problems again.
Doesn't mean yes. Yeah.
Doesn't mean that, but we are equipped to change our thinking about it and to
Yep.
find a way that now there's more information for us. There's something to be curious about, whatever it happens to be.
Yep.
But the idea of being broke or any of those isms, I don't have those anymore. You know,
Yeah.
the idea that I'm a victim of something, that kind of idea just doesn't even cross my mind anymore.
Yeah. Well, with a person listening now that's struggling, right? And relating to your story, because I'm sure a lot of people would relate to your story. I'm sure it doesn't happen overnight. I'm sure it's
No.
a bit of a practice. Would you give any strategy for like anybody saying like, okay, what do I do to begin? Right? What do I do to get started? Is there something simple that I could practice today? I mean, we're not always aware of all of our beliefs. I guess maybe that's the first place is to start there.
That's a great word, awareness. So we teach lots of tools in this teaching. Um, Mindfulness isn't usually associated with the science of mind and one of our tools, but it for me, it is critical. I
Hmm.
started meditating years ago, and I started meditating probably the first year I found the teaching.
Hmm.
And I started by meditating with tapes.
Hmm.
Um, and so listening to music or guided meditations. Now I just love to sit and be present. And so focusing on my breath and becoming aware of the energy that's moving in me, moving through my hands, moving through my body, moving my breath to
Hmm.
become aware like that. I think being aware is very, very important for us because when we aren't aware, it took me a while to realize. I mean, I didn't walk in saying I'm feeling like a victim,
Hmm.
but I started realizing that I was blaming everybody.
Hmm.
And there was really, I thought I was stuck. I would never be able to do anything else. My life wouldn't look any way else. And so when I started realizing, well, I don't have chains on me. I really can
Hmm.
choose something different. One of the things I did, and this is very personal, um, I didn't drink for a
Hmm.
year
Oh
in
wow.
my relationship. So I could see where the problem was and how I was affecting the problem.
Hmm.
And it made a big difference. I could stop drinking for a year. I didn't need the alcohol,
Hmm.
and he couldn't.
Yeah.
So fortunately, he's been sober ever since, a couple of years after, and again, we have a beautiful relationship now, um, a beautiful friendship. And that came about through mindfulness, through clarity, through
Hmm.
understanding where was my part in all of it.
Hmm.
So having that awareness, becoming aware, when we are mindful, we start hearing the story. You hear yourself say something, you're like, wow. And then through taking classes, there'd be workshops and classes and worksheets. And I can remember specifically one that was about money because
Hmm.
that was a challenge for me at the time. I can remember, scraping together, nickels and dimes and getting enough money to give my kids for their lunch money.
Hmm.
And I took this class on prosperity, and I remember it was a whole series of questions. What do you believe? Or finish the sentence, but what do you believe about money? I had no idea of some of the stories in my head
Hmm.
until I slowed down, became mindful. What am I saying? Oh, I thought people that had money were bad people.
Yeah.
I had all kinds of stories in my head that were not true.
Hmm.
There's a lot of lovely people that have money. And I
Yeah.
want to be one of them, right? So learning that I was literally saying these things in my head.
Mm.
Or if I saw a real nice car, if I saw a Cadillac, one of those long back in the day, they were big, long cars, right?
Yeah.
You saw a Cadillac or a Lincoln, I would say to myself, oh, what a pig car. I had an attitude about them.
Mm.
And already an attitude about the people that drove them, which was not true.
Yeah.
Where do those stories come from? We pick things up as children and then they, go through some fantasy process in our head with some experience, and we think that is the way life is. And it
Yeah.
is not necessarily the way life is. It is what we believe about life. And I was
Mm.
believing a lot of things that were not true about life.
Yeah.
That kept me down. That kept me unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautifully
So,
said.
yeah.
Yeah. So self-awareness is key. And I agree with you because meditation, being silent, being still, we're so ingrained with the thought process, the everyday activity of life that rarely as humans do we ever just take time for the self. And what you were sharing about, some of the classes, I'm sure that, some of this brought up journaling and things too.
Yes.
You're getting
Yes.
that clarity about our thoughts about money, abundance, and so many other things
So
is a good starting point. But rarely do we nothing really in school or other what I would say other teachings out there necessarily start with that. And I think that's so important.
yeah, well, in high school, I probably learned how to address an envelope, and I might have learned how to fill out a check, which young people don't even use checks anymore. They don't even know what to do with that. But you're infusing those damaging, wrong beliefs, the beliefs that say I'm not worthy of having something good.
Yeah.
Um, and then naming, people that have something good are somehow evil or bad or wrong. And so we have this whole mindset going on. Well, is this generous, unlimited universe? Or we won't even see the gifts when they're showered upon us, when we have those kinds of blinders on, when we are convinced that the universe is bad,
Yeah.
that life is bad, that it's against us. And I felt like it was against me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right, all kinds of things like you said. So love, relationships, creative expression. We might have gone through school and thought there were five possible careers we could have
Mm.
had. And our teachers and our parents help us find what those are. I went back to school, um, I don't know, in my 40s, mid to late 40s. I graduated my undergrad at 50, and then I went on to do my master's in
Wow.
consciousness. So my master's is in consciousness studies, which was fabulous. I mean, everything from Buddhism to the Bible to quantum physics to philosophy. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just fabulous classes. Um, but I wouldn't have thought of that as a young person, as a child, that I was gonna
Sure.
take those kinds of interesting classes, but why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
And you brought up
Yeah.
a good point. Finding ourself in our path when we're at that age of getting out of high school, going into the possibility of the next, step in education, most kids don't know.
Right.
They need a little bit of life activity to kind of hone in on what that is. And
Yes.
even with that, like you said, you said you took your master's when you was fit when you were 50.
I graduated my undergrad at 50 and then went
Okay.
right into my
Okay.
master's program. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's,
And I
we don't know our,
graduated that. I was
yeah,
just
we don't know
looking.
our calling
What,
until
how old
that.
was I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But you
clarity is a
don't
big
know.
thing. Yeah. You don't know.
Well, And with maturity comes awareness,
Yeah.
comes awareness. Um, yeah, I love teaching. I love speaking. I love counseling. I love sitting with people. I love watching people's, I love the light bulb that goes on. Ron, you know that when you're
Yeah.
with people, and they heard something differently than they've heard before, and it gives them one thing to grab hold of and to hone in on. And next thing you know it, life's starting to look different. We really do. I keep saying it, but we really do change our thinking and our what we experience change, our life changes. We stop seeing life as being governed from the outside and being created from the inside out. We live, we experience our lives and we live our lives from the inside out. And when we recognize that, then we're empowered to
Yeah.
make the changes that we need to and to find the careers and find the things that light us up instead of those are my choices that out
Mm.
there, you know,
Yeah.
infinite in here.
It's infinite. Yeah. And the outer world mirrors what is going on in there too. I know that's I don't know the exact quote of Ernest Holmes, but was it life is a mirror that reflects back to the thinker what he or she thinks
What
into it?
think
Yeah,
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 what we think into it.
yeah. Well, with that, segueing into what I would say um, the power of prayer, affirmative prayer, intentional prayer, metaphysical prayer, like we hear so many terms around it. This is a big part of the teaching because to take all that you just shared and then energetically move it forward, uh, we do spend a lot of time in helping people around us with what would be called prayer. But to me, it's different than the prayer that I was when I was raised in a different, religion.
Sure.
This is more what I would say is self-empowering. Can you
Yes.
share a little bit more about that to a listener that may not be familiar? Because everybody hears the word prayer and they got different thoughts around it. But
Right.
to me, it's like energy work. So go
It
ahead and
it
share.
is energy work, and one of the names we have for it is spiritual mind treatment. There's a lot of ministers and practitioners in our movement that do not use that phrase anymore because they feel it's too cumbersome and
Yeah.
people don't know what it means. I love the word treatment, and I'll tell you why. Because as Emerson said, Ralph Waldo Emerson said that prayer is seeing life from the highest vantage point, the highest and best that you could possibly think of. You speak those words, that's prayer, to
Mm,
speak the highest possibilities. And so for me, treatment is treating my mind to a greater possibility. So whether
mm,
I'm doing it for myself or for you or for another person, um, it's treating my consciousness, my mind to a greater reality. So again, it's honing my awareness. It's bringing it laser focused in to where it needs to be, to where truth lies, instead of thinking that the truth is something out there
mm,
that's got my attention right now. And it could have been a diagnosis. It could have been that I've got a bill, an unexpected bill, and I don't have the funds for it. It could be something that seems very real, you
mm,
know, and yet what I know is. So, prayer, the way we do prayer, is a series of steps and not to get bogged down by superstition with them, but they help us go to that awareness. So, the first step is I live in a loving and supportive universe. This is a friendly universe. This is an infinite universe. All the time, every day, at every moment, there's new things coming from an infinite realm of the invisible into form.
mm,
That's happening all the time. Life is happening all the time, and it's good. It's basically inherently good. It's an energy, it's a creative intelligence. We can call it God, but we don't have to call it God. And so that is happening. And if that's happening, then that means that's me. That birthed me. That
mm,
brought me from that infinite realm into form. That is breathing me now. It's the mind that I'm thinking with. That's consciousness. I mean, I could say consciousness is God,
mhm,
and I that works in my language. So I'm bringing myself into an awareness that this is a friendly universe, that I'm part of it, that it's moving in as and through me. And so then whatever that thing was is simply a thing. Whatever it is that I'm here to pray about is now so
mm,
minor, and it takes its place as form or experience, but not as truth, not as this divine energy that's moving through me that has the ability to recreate, create and recreate any situation. And so
mm,
now I open up to that presence, this idea that was false, that was a false belief, an erroneous. And that doesn't mean that if there's a diagnosis that we don't have pain, that we don't have fear, that we don't have worry, that we don't have a surgery or whatever. But it's not the greater truth of who and what I am. It is an experience that my body goes through, right? It takes the sting out of everything
mm.
to put those first two steps into priority.
Yeah,
This is this is, a universe of brilliance, that an acorn can grow a tree and that there's that intelligence in it that knows how to do it. Do you think maybe I could surrender my fear about paying this bill
mm,
and know that if I need to make a phone call, if I need to do something, that I'm going to get that wisdom because that same intelligence is in me that's in the acorn.
yeah,
That kind of thing. So we build that case in our mind, in our consciousness, and it builds it in our experience.
yeah,
And I have seen so many healings, so many in my own life that I know this is true. So then we state our claim, we say we are grateful because we know it's already so in the mind, in the consciousness, in the ethereal space, that infinite realm of all possibilities to bring it into form. And then
yeah.
we simply let it go and let it be in gratitude. So those are our steps. That's how we do it. And it really is treating our mind to a greater idea, to now where we are open to the infinite possibilities. We're open to greater ideas about it, opportunities, our mind, our heart, our eyes, our ears are all open. Oh, heck, you might see something now in a TV ad, or you might get an email from a friend, or you think about a friend you haven't thought of in a long time, and they're the answer to the job you need.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that's how life operates
Yeah.
because we're not, again, separate from life. So we're in a relationship with all life all the time. And when we are awake to that, we sense and see and hear and feel things that help us. Our awareness grows.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said. Very well said. And I would say I find it becomes second nature the more that we do this intentional work around prayer. I mean, much like doing intentional work around gratitude, but it's a little different in a way that it does shift us to see possibilities, and we start to like, we create magic in our life, right? It's
Yes. Yes.
I even
Yes.
when I was on my bike, there were times where it was like, yeah, doubt could come up. Is it going to be perfect weather? Am I going to have a place to stay tonight? Like,
Right.
yeah, but at the same time, I realize every time I would go, because that's the way I've been conditioned now to go into a thought process, whether it's a single affirmation or whether it's a prayer, whatever, creating the energy around that. And I would say, oh, and then all of a sudden, I always remember the one where the father and son were playing baseball, and I asked him about a campground, and he called his mom, and there was the campground. And not only that, he owned a pizza restaurant and he came by with a
Yes, right,
pizza.
brought
He's
you
like,
pizza. Yes, yes, yes. And that's what you know what I think about sometimes. This is a funny concept, but I think about a chessboard. And
mm,
like now I don't see God as anthropomorphic. That idea from my childhood is completely gone. It's an energy, it's a flow. But I think about chess pieces being moved on a board, like magnetically or something. When we open ourselves, it's like that's it's being
yeah.
brought to us. You brought a pizza, you brought a place to stay. I'm reading and I wish the Power of Beliefs. I can see it now. I'm reading a new book, The Power of Beliefs. It was just published this year. And in the book, he's a researcher, so tons of scientific data that supports what we're talking about, Ron. That we literally begin when we shift our beliefs. There's such a power in that we really do see better,
Mm.
that they now can see with MRIs that parts of the brain will open up. Your prefrontal cortex is now it's lit up and it's paying attention in a way that it wasn't paying attention when it thought that the world was against them.
Yeah.
Now the world's friendly. Now you believe the world's friendly and you're seeing and hearing and sensing things that you were blind to before.
Mm.
That they can literally see that kind of stuff in the brain. Yeah, it's great.
Nice. It's always good to get that science, you
I love
know,
it.
angle from it, because backing up everything that we know that we already believe, but to see it from a scientific perspective and have data, like that's also exciting too.
I love it. I get very excited about it. I have it through experiences. So if we talk about this kind of prayer work, there was a young woman who I've known her whole life. She was told right before she got married, she was told that she had cancer, uterine cancer, and that she needed to have a hysterectomy. And she, of course, was devastated. I mean, she's in the throes of planning her wedding, and she's told this. That woman now has two beautiful children. She never had the
Wow.
hysterectomy. And we started praying. People were praying. And her mother, during this time, her mom says, I saw this ad on TV for this place in Atlanta that does different kinds of testing. And maybe we should just go there. So they
Hmm.
went there, got an appointment, went there, and the woman, they tested her again, and the doctor said to her, I don't know why you're here. There's nothing wrong. You don't
Yeah.
need a surgery. There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
There was nothing wrong. Now, I don't know the scientific reality of what happened, but I know what happened.
Yeah.
Prayer happened. And I can't explain that by rejoice in it. And I know it happened. I was intimately involved with happening. And then when you read a book like that, you go, oh, great. You know, there's some scientific um, support to the fact that our beliefs are creating what we're experiencing without us even knowing it.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so well said. And when we have not only the science, but we also have conviction comes out of our own demonstration of seeing it
Yes.
manifest, seeing something come.
Yes.
And I would say, even going back now, when I first came upon a Center for Spiritual Living, that was the one in Cape Coral.
Yeah.
And I had my business for sale. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. I had my business for sale for over a year. I had contacted brokers. No matter what I did, I went in to Emil's office. We sat down, maybe 15 minutes, and he said, it's done.
Yes.
2 days later, I had two offers.
Right.
One was a cash offer. Offers like, whoa, this is like,
Right. Right. And so I don't know to explain. I don't need to explain it. That's the
yeah,
way I feel. You experience it. I mean, my life has changed. I say often I look different. Well, I'm older, but I look different.
Yeah.
I look different. I'm happier. I'm more confident. I'm excited about life. You know, yeah, it's a whole different way to live. And I don't need the proof, but it's nice to be able to share
Yeah.
data and statistics.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
let's dive into the class because I know that's
Yes.
coming up on August 6th. And so, for everybody who's been listening to this conversation with Reverend Theresa, this is an opportunity to actually be able to learn a little bit more about this and start to put it into practice in your own
Yes.
life. And so, Theresa, that is online, right? So they can connect
Yes.
online. They don't have to
It's
be in.
Thursdays. Right. You can be anywhere. It's
Okay.
Thursdays, beginning August 6th. We're online. It's 2.5 hours, I think, a 2.5, 6:30 to 8.
Yep.
Um, and we will go, it's 6 weeks. So you will have an idea in your mind of what you want to work on. If you want to work on relationships, if you want to work on money, you want to work on your health, whatever area of your life you feel that you're ready for a shift, you want to create something new for yourself in that area of your life, you will focus on that, and we'll walk through some of these tools, some of these uh, spiritual tools like meditation, like treatment, like we're talking about, affirmative prayer, writing affirmations for yourself, and we'll be looking at what is your belief around this topic and where does it need to be? What's going to support you having the experience that you're looking for in your life? And so we have 6 weeks, and we expect you to see a demonstration at the end of that 6 weeks. We expect to see a shift. So we get busy with it. When I first found this teaching, oh, you weren't setting out to. Well, we used to um, manifest parking places, right?
Yeah.
You pull into a crowded parking lot and you want a space right up front because it's getting ready to storm, and lo and behold, there's the parking place and you pull right into it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be doing some things that are a little more uh, important in your life,
In a
something that
parking spot. Yeah.
really, yeah, something that really is going to shift
Yeah.
a false belief that you've been carrying that I guarantee, don't even know you have. Don't even know
Nice.
you have. So that's what it's all about. And I'm excited. And I sought this book out for this purpose. So I'll be using some supplemental statistics,
Very good.
and show you how neuroscience tells us how your brain, why this is so, why your brain gets caught on false beliefs and wants to stay there, and what literally happens when you start shifting it. So we'll talk about those things in the class too.
Great. Exciting. So I'm going to put the link down below so people can sign up for the class. And it's going to be on Thursday, 6 weeks, starting at 6 p.m., going to 8:30 p.m. And of course, you don't have to be in Sarasota. You can tune in anywhere. And you can tune in anywhere for Sunday celebration. That's at 11 a.m., where you can listen to Reverend Theresa. You can also listen to some great music. And if you're in person, if you happen to be in Sarasota, come and join us because it's a circle of love, I guess. To describe it, it's definitely
It
a
is.
great community.
Let me just say, because we didn't really touch upon this, but when you recognize that you're a divine incarnation, when you recognize that you've come from that infinite realm, and that spirit's moving through you, then you begin to see others that way. And so it is a love fest in our community because we see that in each other. And it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. It really, really is a beautiful place to be.
Well,
And
Reverend
everybody's
Theresa,
welcome. And you can go right now and listen to a talk. When we finish up, you go onto YouTube and find a talk. You might even see one of Ron on there.
yeah, I will share the YouTube channel and the Facebook page. Any last words?
I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for this opportunity. I'm grateful to talk about this teaching every chance I get because I know that lives change, and that matters. It matters that we all show up the best we can because we're creating this thing called society. We're creating humanity. We're creating our economy. We're creating all of it.
Hmm.
Um, each one of us together. That's what we're doing. So it's important. This work's important. So thank you all.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Reverend Teresa. Thank you for your time today.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Great. You too.
Namaste.
You too. Namaste.